people who are addicts, they feel hopeless. They feel like, hey, I got to have it. You know.
Well, McKinney, I think a good one is when you've been to get convicted, you know, it's like been convicted out and you don't have nowhere else to go or nowhere else to, you know, like a home can get convicted out your home, out of house.
Evicted.
Yeah, evicted. And you say, you know, that's what, you know.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Because you're about to be homeless.
Yeah, and then you don't think that, and then it just, you know.
That's a good one. That's a hopeless situation for some people.
Yeah.
Where am I going to stay? Where am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? That's a hopeless situation. Dr. McGee, can you think of an area in life that a person can feel hopeless?
The loss of loved ones can make you feel hopeless.
In what way? You say loved ones?
I would say, just say, in my case, never had a biological, my biological dad was never around.
Okay.
So my mama raised 5 of us.
Okay.
Just when I lost my mom, I didn't feel hopeless, but I could, I guess in my relation to that, if someone in my same situation was maybe at a younger age and loses a mom who is that everything,
Okay.
they could feel hopeless. Supporting cast.
Can I put loss of a loved one?
Yeah.
Because that's, some people, they feel hopeless. They feel like, hey, I can't make it. I can't carry on. You know.
I got another one, but can we get
Okay,
to-
hold up. Okay, now over Henry got it. Henry got it.
Crunk up.
Okay. All right. All right. What's your other one, Henry?
if you lose your job or get laid off, that's
That one was number 1 on my list.
yeah.
Loss of a job.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
For someone that's like you got convicted of a life sentence or something.
Okay.
If you're wrongly convicted of something like that, you mean?
Yep.
Wrongly
Could be
convicted.
wrongly convicted. All right.
All right.
You get that life sentence, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The game's over.
Uh-huh. Then I had,
I'm praying for a young man that just got that, and he had been in and out of jail, and his dad was trying to help him, well, you know the problem. Jack is helping his son out there, so, and they hurry up, keep getting him out of jail real fast, and he telling them, his sister and them not to get him out of jail, and they got him out of jail. Now, he got back in trouble with that fentanyl, served somebody some fentanyl,
okay.
and he got $1 million bond.
I also had financial problems.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That can be a hopeless situation. So y'all see where I'm trying to relate this to the lesson focus. Take heart. God's power will renew the hopeful. You know, every one of those situations and many others, if people will rely on God's power, they can make it through any of those situations. Y'all see the connection? Okay.
Have you ever tried to help somebody and help somebody and help somebody and just seem hopeless?
Right, right. And I won't call no name.
Me neither.
Yeah, I kept trying, and they just,
But sometimes, Brother Ken, you try to help somebody, they don't want to listen to you.
well, that's what we're talking about.
You know,
That's what we're talking about.
don't talk. Don't talk. You don't say,
Got an attitude with it.
Yeah,
yeah.
and so,
I
I
know
just,
what I'm doing.
okay.
What you want me, boy, you know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing as long as I
Yeah. Give you a little background on the book of Isaiah. The author is the prophet Isaiah. He was a prophet of God of the southern kingdom, Judah. Prophet means to speak for.
Right.
The prophet of the Old Testament received God's message by direct revelation and passed it on to others in written or spoken form. God's prophets spoke for God and told people to remain loyal and obedient to God. The book of Isaiah is the best known prophetic book of the Old Testament because of Isaiah's emphasis on the theme of salvation and Isaiah's prophecies about the coming Messiah. Isaiah preached God's message of judgment and hope to the people of the southern kingdom, Judah, for 40 years. We just talked about how you try to help some people and just seem like, hey, you just don't want to do right. But Isaiah didn't give up. He kept preaching for 40 years, trying to help people. They didn't want to hear. They wanted to do their own thing. But that didn't stop him from preaching what God had told him to preach. The northern kingdom, Israel, fell to the Assyrians because of Israel's sin and rebellion against God. Isaiah told Judah the same thing would happen to them unless they quit worshiping false gods and follow the one true God, Jehovah. The book of Isaiah is quoted 67 times in the New Testament. Okay? In today's lesson, Isaiah warns King Hezekiah of Judah of a time when Babylon would carry away Judah's wealth and people to Babylon.
Yeah.
More than 100 years would pass before that happened, but it did happen. God punished the people of Judah for their sins of worshiping idol gods.
Yeah.
Okay? So our first outline is entitled, Who Compares to God? Who compares to God? Compare means to represent as similar, equal, or like to something or someone else. Okay? I went back and read verses 1 through 11 because today's lesson starts at verse 12. And I wanted to know what had taken place before verse 12. Isaiah spoke words of comfort and hope to the people of Judah who are in bondage in Babylon. God tells Isaiah to tell the people of Judah that the days of sadness in Babylon are gone. The people of Judah's sins are pardoned. God will give the Judah twice as many blessings as he gave them punishment. That's not like good news. I'm going to get twice as many blessings as I receive punishment. A voice of one cries in the wilderness, make a road for the Lord, a smooth road through the desert. Shout that man is like grass that dies away. The word of our Lord shall stand forever. God is coming with mighty power and will rule with awesome strength. Yeah. His reward is with him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. Yeah. That was the prophecy of Jesus, the Messiah, who would come. So, Mr. Henry, verse 12.
Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the stand, and comprehended the dust of earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance.
Look at what Isaiah says. He asks a question here. Who had measured the hollow of his hand and meted out heaven with the span? You see the word measured and meted out. These expressions deal with calculating something. Okay? The hollow of his hand and the span. These terms deal with distance. Isaiah talks about waters and heaven. Isaiah calls attention to things God can do that humans cannot do. Okay? He says, measured the waters. How much water is in the world?
Don't nobody know.
Nobody know that? Without our modern technology, Anthony?
I mean, you got some scientists who can probably guesstimate their calculation, but
He said guesstimate.
He used the right word.
Yes.
They can guesstimate. Look, how much water in the world?
Oh, lot.
Yeah, a lot. I have no idea.
Okay.
I think it can't be measured.
Man can't measure it. No human unit of measure can examine with exactness how much water is in the world. Only God can. Is that power? Okay. Then he says heaven. Now, he's not talking about heaven where God resides. He's talking about the stars, the moon, the sun. How many stars are in the sky?
I don't think you can count them.
You can't count them? Anthony,
no, sir.
you don't know? You ever tried to count them?
Yeah, try to count a few of them. You know,
Gerald? You never tried to count them, huh?
I looked for a big difference.
Well, how large is the moon?
Depends on how far away it is.
example of God's power. Okay? Then he says, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance. Comprehend means understand, know, to grasp mentally. How many grains of sand are in the earth?
Nobody knows but God.
Really? But Red, this is 2024. I mean,
Modern equipment and everything.
modern technology.
Never be able to count the rain.
Oh, man, can't do that, huh?
Man can't.
Well, how much does a mountain weigh?
He can't do that either.
It's 2024, man. You can send a man to the moon, but we don't know how much a mountain weighs. God's creations display his power.
Say that again.
God's creations display his power. How in the world did God make a man out of dirt? Can somebody explain that to me?
Well, non-believers would say he didn't do that.
True, true. But here we are, and I tell you what, if you take a shower or you take a bath, look at that water.
Dirt.
What color is it?
Oh, dirt, that's dirt. That's why you bubble that.
Man, I've been made out of dirt. God's creations display his power.
You know, this is like I think what to say. Man knows the recipe to everything, but one recipe he can't make, H2O. He can't make it. And even though you know the recipe, he can't make it.
I can't make water. Okay, Reverend Chris, verse 13. Outline who compares to God.
Who had directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor, has taught him.
Okay? Isaiah asked another question here. Who had directed the Spirit of the Lord, being his counselor, had taught him? And Spirit, we're talking about the Holy Spirit. God has never had to learn anything from anybody.
No.
Think about that. Still talking about power now.
Who could counsel the Lord? Give him advice.
But we do find people that try to do that. You have a problem, Gerald, and then we try to tell God, when I say we, people, try to tell God how to solve the problem. omniscient. God knows everything. Okay? It skips from verse 13 down to verse 25. But I want to know what happened in verses 14 through 24. Isaiah says, who taught God knowledge? How can we describe God? What can be compared to God? Man makes idols from what God has made. Check that out.
You know, I never thought of that. Yeah.
Read the Old Testament. God made wood. He made gold. And man turned around and took what God had made, and man said, this is my God.
Wow.
And don't think that we so smart today that we do the same thing that man was doing back in those days.
Everything that exists that man made comes from something that God made.
That God made.
Anything on this earth.
On this earth, everything on this earth, God made. But we turn around and we make an idol out of what God has made. Man makes an idol God that cannot move. God sits above the earth. People seem like grasshoppers to God. God reduces the rulers of the world to nothing. That's why I'm going to stop worrying about Donald Trump. Because, like I said a few lessons ago, all God got to do is say, and it's been proven throughout history. The people that want to be rulers and have an ultimate authority, guess what? They don't have a power.
Brother Clint, man, I used to be so, I used to love CNN. I'm talking about, especially during COVID. I mean,
Okay.
it came on, I had it on in the morning. I mean, I was just baptized with CNN, MSNBC.
Okay.
And, man, now I've got to turn it on.
Really?
If I do, it's for me to see what's going on here. Like last week, I was listening to a little bit about what Iran and what they're doing over there with the 4 soldiers that got killed in the bomb.
3.
3, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
And, but after that, man, I turned it off because I find myself worried about, okay, well, what we're going to go to war about. You know what? All that over there is going to get taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so I don't indulge in it as much
Okay.
as I used to. I used to be just infatuated with it. But
Right.
because I know.
Okay.
I was like MSNBC like that. I never, have you ever known anybody to be in the news every day? This man been in the news since, what, 20, whatever it is. Every day, not a single day goes by that Trump
It's
is
not.
not his name.
That's right.
Like you, brother,
That's right.
I try to live with you.
Well, you know who's in control, so we don't have to,
That's
we don't have
it.
to worry about that.
That's it. Chris, verse 25.
To whom then will ye liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Holy One?
God says, to whom will ye liken me, or shall I be equal? God talking now. Psalms 20, well, you don't even have to turn it in. I know y'all know this one. Psalms 23 and 1. For the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Okay? 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 32.
What chapter?
2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 32.
O Lord alone is God. We have no other Savior.
No other.
No other.
No other. I want the King James Version.
For who is God? We say 22:32?
Yes, 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 32.
For who is God except the Lord? And who is a rock except our God?
God is a rock. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 29.
Happy are you, O Israel, who is like you, a people saved by the Lord, the shield of your help, and the sword of your majesty. Your enemies shall submit to you, and you shall trim down their high places.
That verse says that God is our shield and sword. You find yours, Brother Red?
It says, what a blessing are yours, O Israel. Who else has been saved by the Lord? He is your shield and your help.
And the help.
He is your excellent sword. Your enemies shall bow low before you, and you shall trample their backs.
See? Psalms 18 and 2.
The Lord is my rock, and my fortress,
Okay.
and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler, and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower.
See? So God asked a question. Who are you going to compare with to me? Who is equal to God? Nobody. Okay? Verse 26, Anthony.
Lift up your eyes on high,
Okay?
and behold who have created these things, that bring them out their host by number. He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one faileth.
Isaiah tells the people, he said, lift up your eyes on high and behold, who hath created these things that bringeth out their host by number? Host by number is talking about the stars. Who created the stars? God. But you do know God told man not to worship the stars. But guess what? Anything God tells people not to do, they do it. Anything God tells people to do, they ain't doing that. That's people.
We had ex-brothers in the Bible running the White House by the stars.
Like stars. Okay? We're going to deal with worshiping of the stars. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19.
And do not look up into the sky to worship the sun, the moon, or stars.
Okay?
The Lord may permit other nations to get away with it, but not you.
But not you. Okay? I said everything God tells us not to do, we do it. Everything God tells us to do, we don't do it. Turn to 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 16. 2 Kings chapter 17.
And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal.
See? See? God said, don't y'all, people don't worship stars, the moon, the sun. Nah, we too smart. To worship created things rather than the Creator invites the death penalty. That's not me saying this. That's what the Bible says. That's what God says. Prove it, teacher. To worship created things rather than the Creator invites the death penalty. Turn to Romans chapter 1, verses 18 through 25.
But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, evil men who push away the truth from men.
Okay?
For the truth about God is known to them instinctively.
Okay?
God has put his knowledge in their heart. Since the earliest of time, men have seen the earth, the sky, and all God made,
Okay?
and have known of his existence and great eternal power, so they will have no excuse when they stand before God and judgment.
Now, keep it here and read verse 32.
And they were fully aware of God's death penalty for these crimes, yet they went right ahead and did them anyway, and encouraged others to do them too.
God said they knew. He didn't keep his death penalty secret. He said, if you do that, you're going to die. And what did man do? Went right ahead, Roger, and did what God said. Don't do that. If you do that, you're going to receive the death penalty. And went right ahead. Start worshiping created things. Then verse 26 says, he calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one faileth. God, we already determined we don't know how many stars there are in the sky, right? Man doesn't know. We did determine that God made the stars. And God has a name for every star in the sky.
We call it the moon, but we don't know what God calls it.
Right? Is that power? He knows the name. Hello, sir. Anybody want breakfast?
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, young man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. So, God made all the stars in the sky. So we're talking about God's power. And he has named every star in the sky. God given them a name. Then he says, not one faileth. Not one of the stars fails to lighten up at night. Is that power? That's power.
We talk about billions of miles that we see.
Right. Okay? Our next outline, our strength comes from God. Our strength comes from God. Strength means physical power, durability, and power. We think we're so strong. Compare your strength to God's strength. Okay? Verse 27. Is that you, Roger?
Sure.
Okay, verse 27.
Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speakest, O Israel, my way is hid from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God.
Look at what Isaiah says here. See the words sayest and speakest. Y'all see those two words?
Yes, sir.
O Jacob, O Israel. Jacob was the son of Isaac. Remember Jacob?
Yes, sir.
What does Jacob's name mean? Grabber.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when he was coming out of his mother's womb,
You grab it onto his
well,
brother.
his brother was about to come out of his mother's womb first, and Jacob grabbed his leg, pulled him back, and said, no, I'm going to be the firstborn. Jacob, the grabber. Who changed Jacob's name? God. God said, no longer Jacob. You're going to be known as Israel. O Jacob, O Israel. The 12 tribes were called